Is it possible to get funded using a free EA? In this video, I'll show you how I use the Dark Rear EA, a completely free trading robot from the MQL5 marketplace, to achieve my first Darwin X0 allocation. I'll show you the steps I took, the settings I used, and how the EA performed under real trading conditions, including the drawdowns experienced, as well as the subsequent recoveries. Stick around until the end of the video, and I'll share the plan I have to boost my profits even further. So in October, I placed the EA onto my Darwin X0 MetaTrader 5 platform, and what you're looking at now is the Darwin X0 dashboard. This is my user area. If we go to the platform itself, you can see that there were loads and loads and loads of trade. We started on the 17th of October, and it took about 2.5 months for me to get my first allocation. Now keep in mind that that included the first month, which is the calibration month, right? So after calibration, being in silver took about 1.5 months, and I will show you the email that I received. So this came on the 31st of December at 5:35 p.m. But I did get my first allocation. And as you can see, it says, congratulations, you have earned this achievement in Darwinia Silver. So it was great news. So let's come back to my computer, and what I'll show you is that, once again, this is the Dark Rear, and it is available on the MQL5 marketplace. It is completely free, and I will leave a link to the robot down below in the description. So this was the robot that I used, and I used it because we have used a number of other EAs from the same developer, and they've all performed pretty well. So let's go back to the platform, and we'll go back to the history, and what you can see is that, let me just make this a little bit bigger so we can see a little bit more detail. You can see that it has executed quite a lot of trades, and it is a grid trading system, and you can see that quite clearly because 0.4, 0.8, 1.2, 1.6, and then 2, for example. So if we look at the closing time, you can see that all of these trades closed at the same time. I did close on a profit. We have a great example of this as well. If we go right down to the bottom, so this actually happened today. I'll show you, this is a great example of grid martingale system. And what we can see is that these 5 trades here, these last 5 trades that you can see, what happened was it opened a trade at 0.8, it opened another trade at 0.8 lots. Then the trade was going against us, and I'll show you that move in a second. It then opened another position at 1.2. So basically what happens is that as the price goes against you, it continues to open orders in the opposite direction. Okay, so if the market is going down, as it was in this case, it will open additional buy positions in the hope that when the market turns around, because our positions are getting bigger and bigger, when it does eventually close, 1 or 2 trades might close on a loss, but the bigger trades, the bigger lots will actually close on a profit, and it will compensate for the losses, and that's exactly what happened. And we can see that clearly here. So these 5 all closed at the same time. These 2 closed on a loss. So here we had a loss, if you want to call it that, of about $125. But if you look at the ones that actually closed on a profit, you'll see that the profit was significantly bigger than the losses. And I can actually show you this move. As I said, it happened today, so it's easy to find and easy to show you. Let's just make this a little bit smaller again. What we'll do is we'll just zoom in here. Okay, and this was the move here. So during this part here, it was actually continuously opening buy positions, and the market was going down and down and down. And then at one point, it eventually turned around, and I thought it would, because if you actually look, if we zoom out a little bit, what you can actually see is there's quite a clear level of support here. It bounced off a few times here, it came back up, went back down, and there was a nice support level here. So let's just zoom back in, and what you can see is that it was continuously opening buy orders, so the market was going against us, and at one moment the market turned around. And when it turned around, it eventually started closing the trades, and at the end of the day, it closed all 5 positions, and we ended on a profit. Now, I do have this account linked to FX Blue, and I will show that to you here. So let's go to the overview so you can get a pretty good idea of what is going on. So this was a $100,000 account. That's how it starts with Darwin X0. And you can see that currently we're on 111,391. So we're about 11.5% up. And what you can see is that it looks really good and really clean, and it's just going up. There are a few little periods of stagnation, for example, here. And there was one now that happened at the beginning of the year, which is completely normal at this time of the year. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the equity. And what you can see is that it does stick pretty close to the balance line, but there was this one drawdown here, and it went from equity was 105 down to about 101. So let's call it about 4%. If we go back to the Darwin X0 platform, you can actually quite clearly see it here as well. So the account was going up and up and up. We had a small drawdown here. That was pretty insignificant if we look at it on Darwin X, from 4.79 to 3.84. So about 1% there. And then the account recovered and it carried on going up. And then here we had quite a significant drawdown. Then it was stagnant for a while before going back up. And then we had another period of stagnation. And those trades that you saw today that I showed you a little bit earlier, that is that growth that you see there. What you can see is that our total return for the last 5 months is 6.31%. Now, I haven't been trading in this account for 5 months, but this is just how it comes up. So it'll stay like this until 5 months, and then once we go past 5 months, we will just always see the history for the last 5 months. However, we did have that drawdown that you saw, right? 5.71. And that is basically this drawdown here, which was about 4%, and this one here. So I took these two together and it gave us that 5%. Now, when it comes to Darwin X0, it works with a ratings calculator. And if we go into the rating calculator, what you can see is that currently my rating is 74.32. It was 72 this morning, in fact, but because of those trades that closed on profit, it's gone up to 74.32. Now, in order to get allocation, you need a rating minimum of 75. 75, you get $30,000, and if your rating goes higher, you get allocated more depending on what your return versus your drawdown is. So what we can see is that just based on my current month, we have only earned 1.23%. My current rating is 74.32. So I'm getting really close to the next 75, which will give you my next allocation. And today is the 14th of January. So we've got about 2 weeks of trading left to increase that. Now, that doesn't mean that I will get allocation. There could still be a drawdown that will then bring my rating down, and I may not get the allocation. But as it stands now, I have 30,000 in allocation, and this will be with me for 3 months. So if you get your allocation, but let's say for the next 3 months you don't get allocations, then you will lose that initial allocation. Alternatively, if you manage to get above 75, you will continue to get allocations, and it will add to your existing allocation. Another thing worth mentioning and looking at is the Darwin X risk, which you can see here. Now, currently my risk ratio is 0.86. So how it works essentially is that the risk engine uses quite an advanced algorithm to assess and determine how risky your strategy is. The riskier your strategy is, or the riskier determines your strategy is, the lower your risk ratio will be. So if this was a very, very risky strategy, it might go down to 0.5 or 0.25, just depending on the strategy. However, conversely, if you have a strategy that the risk engine determines is not very risky, it could actually increase. So your risk ratio could actually go above 1. So it could be 1.2 or 1.5. In which case, for every, let's say 1% of profit, you will actually get 1.2 or 1.5%. So it works on that kind of ratio. So the reason that I chose Darwin X0 is because for just 38 euros a month, I can very quickly start managing my own hedge fund. Sure, it may be small in the beginning, but with steady and consistent results, it can grow very big relatively quickly. And if you want to join Darwin X, you can do it as well. It costs $43 or 38 euros sign-up fee to participate in Darwin X. There is also the option for a 1 year where you get a saving, or a 3 year. Now, with a 3 year subscription, you will also get permanent allocation for free. Permanent allocation is a new concept that Darwin X0 introduced recently. I'm not going to go into great detail about the permanent allocation now, but I will leave a link to a video that Petco recorded recently that goes into great detail and explains it, so you can fully understand what the permanent allocation is and how it works and how it will benefit you. So what I want to do next, now that we're back on the VPS, is I want to show you the settings that I'm using. So I'm going to go to the expert list. And by the way, guys, this set file is available to you. If you click on the link below to the robot, you'll find the set file included with the robot. So I'm going to go to the properties, and you can see the settings that I'm using. Now, I did change a number of the settings, and as I said, the set file is included in the download if you want to download it. There are a few changes I made. So initially I was trading this on the euro dollar. I have subsequently changed it to the euro Swiss. I just found this to be a less volatile currency, and the results I've had have been pretty good. Other than that one drawdown, it's been fairly consistent, and the drawdowns haven't been very big. But when you are trading it on a platform like Darwin X0, the only risk to you is your monthly subscription, right? Obviously, if you get your allocation and you lose that, it's not pleasant. But if your account does happen to blow for some reason, or you're going to a really big drawdown and you don't want to try and get out of it, you can just close the account, or you can just reset the account and start from scratch. So coming back to the settings, as I said, initially I just changed the asset that I'm trading. The other thing I changed once I saw the performance on the EA is I had my starting lots at 0.4. You can, however, change it to money management. So if you put this on true, what will happen is then it'll actually risk 1% cent per trade. But what I've found is on my backtest is that leaving it on the lots yielded a better result for me. Okay, and then there are a number of other settings that you can change and you can play with if you want to backtest it. But as I said, I'm happy with my results so far, so I'm not going to change anything for now. So one of the benefits of trading on a platform like MetaTrader 5 with Darwin X0 is that currently I'm only running one chart, but I can actually run multiple charts. So it's all linked to the same account. So what I plan to do moving forward is I'm probably going to open 2 or 3 more charts running the same EA, but with different assets. I'll run some backtests to see which give me the best results. And then I'm going to open additional charts on my MetaTrader 5 platform and put the EA onto those. I'm going to start it very small. I'm going to start it with a lot size of 0.01 on the different assets just to see how it performs, see how the drawdowns are in percentage terms. And if they perform well in a few weeks or possibly a month, what I'll do is increase those lot sizes. So what I could potentially do is accelerate the growth in the account. Of course, the risk with that is that if all 3 or all 4, depending on how many I have, all go into a drawdown at the same time, it could very adversely affect my account balance and my rating and of course my allocation. I will be recording a few videos on how I do this, so if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. Okay guys, if I can do it, so can you. I'm going to leave this EA running with its current settings and hopefully grow my account even quicker with the addition of 1 or 2 more charts with the EA. The beauty of doing it this way is that there is so little risk to me. It really removes most of the anxiety normally associated with trading. I'll leave all the links to the robot, Darwin X0, and the first video I recorded when I started this account down below in the description. Before you go, check out this video where I placed another free EA from the same developer on a small $200 demo account. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon and trade safe.